Alright, so welcome back to Arc Nova, Animal Card Clarifications or Explanations, Part 2. So in the last video, I left it off with a question of how these last three animals with the Venom cards work. We already talked about the incentive and how those abilities work if you aren't going to play the attack route, as in there's cards with attack powers, basically. But we now need to talk about how Venom will actually work. Now, Venom, let's just say it. Let's just read what it says. Each player ahead of you on the appeal track gains 2 Venom tokens. So anyone who's ahead of you on the appeal track, meaning they have more appeal points than you, are going to get, basically, they're going to get a Venom token on the first slot here and a Venom token on the second slot as well. And so now you'll have some Venom tokens to contend with on certain actions. Now, what are these Venom tokens going to do? Well, first of all, I want to make note that you'll never have more than one Venom token you'll never have 2 Venom tokens on one card, okay? Not only that, but if you somehow if another Venom card was played against you again, and you already had a Venom token here and a Venom token here, no Venom tokens could go here, and obviously no Venom tokens can go here either, because there's already one on each of these. So it wouldn't affect you. So that's something to note. But what Venom is going to do is if you decide to ignore these 2 Venom tokens that are sitting on these 2 actions, because you don't really want to take these 2 actions here because they're of low value right now because they can't do much for you. You want to take a more powerful action like a 3 or a 4 or a 5 because you're going to get something better, and you probably recently just did these actions anyways. If you decide to play another action instead of these first 2, you'll take the action like normal. But then after the action is over, you have to pay 2 money to the supply if you have at least 1 Venom token on your cards. Okay? Ouch. If you can't pay the 2 money because you're out of money, then you cannot take the action. So that's also horrible, right? That means you can't take the action. You have to redo the whole action and then do something else. Maybe even taking an action that is going to give you money, because maybe you have 0 money at all completely. So then maybe you'd have to take an action that's going to give you money, or at least take an action that has the Venom token already on it. Because you see, if you decide to take an action that has the Venom token on it, then you will remove the Venom token, returning it to the supply. You will take the action like normal, and this one will not affect you because you were able to remove 1 of the Venom tokens. But then on your next turn, you would also, if you didn't want to pay the fee of 2 money to the supply, you would have to perform the next action with the other action here with the other Venom token on it as well to get rid of it. So that's how that's going to work. Now, if you have lots of money and you're not worried about losing 2 money, well, you don't have to worry about these forever, because during a coffee break, any tokens that are sitting on cards are promptly removed. So then the Venom tokens will also be gone, and your problem of a venomous snake being a problem will be gone. It'll be gone, okay? So that's nice. So these won't stick around forever, but they certainly will do some damage if you aren't willing to get rid of them yourself. And of course, if you get rid of them yourself, you could be potentially messing up your own future turns as well. But that's how Venom is going to work. That's how the Venom cards are going to work. So the Western Green Mamba has that ability, the Inland Taipan has that ability, and the Platypus has that ability as well, except it's only 1 Venom token instead of 2. So you would only put 1 Venom token on a card, and it would be the Animals card, or should I say whatever happens to be sitting in Tier 1. Would be the card that the Venom token would go on. But that's how Venom tokens are going to work, and that's how the animals with those abilities are going to work. And there's only 3 of them, so the chances of one of these showing up is still slim to none, because there's only 3 of these with this ability. Okay, so let's move on to the next animal, the next ability. So the Fennec Fox here has the Clever ability. So after you perform the current action, which would be the Animals action, you may place any action card on Tier 1 slot. So remember, when you play the Animals action, wherever you decided to play it, it was still going to be it's still going to end up moving to this slot here, the first slot. That's where it was still going to end up anyways. But maybe you want to move that particular animal's action up further so you can use it much sooner with a higher power, obviously. So you could cleverly choose an action card you don't think you're going to use that's higher up on the track for a while, and move it down to the first slot, moving animals up and everything else up, potentially moving something else you want on 5. Maybe you want the association on 5, but this sponsors is in the way. You could use the clever ability to move the sponsors down here, and then the association would go up, and now you've got association cleverly pushed up, thanks to your Fennec Fox. And so there's lots of animals with this ability clever. So the Golden Lion Tamarin also has that ability. The European Grass Snake has it. This Squirrel Monkey has it. The Dusky Leaf Monkey has it. This animal has it as well. And then there are 3 more animals that also have the clever ability as well. But because they have that ability, they also have the attack ability called Constriction. So remember, if you're playing with the attack cards, you might not be using the clever ability. You might instead be using the Constriction action instead. Now, how does the Constriction action actually function? Well, first of all, each of these animals, the Indian rock python, the boa constrictor, and the anaconda, they all have the exact same version of constriction, so there's no variation within their kind. But let's just read what it says and does. So each player ahead of you on a track gains 1 constriction token for each of those tracks. So if your opponents are ahead of you on the appeal track, they're going to get 1 constriction token. If they're also ahead of you on the conservation track, they're going to get a constriction token for that as well. And then those constriction tokens, so they're going to go on sponsors, or should I say they're going to go on the 5th tier slot and then the 4th tier slot if you get a second one. And just like with the venom tokens, you can't put 2 constriction tokens on the same cards, and you obviously can't put constriction tokens onto these locations. Now, what does constriction do to you while you have them on the cards? It actually decreases the tier value of the card. So let's say you wanted to take the association action here, and this token here is sitting on the association card. Well, instead of being able to perform an action up to 4, you would only be able to perform the action up to the 2nd tier, basically. Which is painful because now you probably had an ability in mind and now you can't perform it because of this constriction is constricting you, preventing you from doing something awesome. But if you had some X tokens, you could use those X tokens to increase the amount back up to the number that you need, assuming you have X tokens you can use. But yes, that's what's going to happen with the constriction tokens. So yes, the only way to get rid of the constriction tokens is by waiting for the coffee break. So they will stick around until the next coffee break. There is no way to simply just get rid of them. Unlike the venom tokens, they'll go away. If you were to play an action with a venom token on it, they'll go away, or one will go away. But these will hang around until the next coffee break. But basically, that's how constriction is going to work. It is going to obviously decrease the value of the strength of your turns, of your action cards that have these constriction tokens on them. But that's how constriction is going to work. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so the next one is Sprint. Sprint, with this ability, you just draw one card from the deck. And this one has the exact same ability as the Frilled Lizard. This one has the exact same ability, except you get to draw 2 cards from the deck. The Cheetah here allows you to draw 3 cards from the deck with the same ability. Okay, now we have Pilfering. And we also have Sprint again, so you can draw a card from the deck if you decide to go with Sprint with the Barbarian Macaque. If you decide to do Sprint with this Capuchin, it's also going to let you draw a card. And if you do Sprint with this Japanese Macaque, you get to draw 2 cards from the deck. Okay, so let's talk about how Pilfering will work if you're playing with the attack cards. With this one, you're going to draw one card from the hand or take 5 money from the player with the most appeal. They decide. So whoever has the most appeal, they're going to decide, your opponent is going to decide which one you're going to get to take, which one you're going to get to pilfer from their hand. Either you get to pilfer 5 of their money, or you get to pilfer 1 card from their hand. They get to decide, but you're still going to be taking one or the other from whoever has the most appeal. Okay, so that's how Pilfering is going to work. Okay, and then this Capuchin has the exact same ability, Pilfering-wise. Now, the Japanese Macaque has a slightly different ability, but same thing. It's going to let you do it basically twice. So, from both the player with the highest appeal and the player with the most conservation, the highest conservation, highest on conservation tract, you get to draw 1 card from the hand or 5 money from that player. They decide. So if it's the same player who has, if one player has both the highest appeal and the highest on conservation, then you're going to get to steal from them twice. You could either steal 2 cards, or you could take up to 10 money from them. They decide, of course, which one you're going to take, and of course you might take a card and you also might take 5 money from them. But if you're playing with multiple players, possibly somebody is going to be higher up on this tract and another player is going to be higher up on this tract, and so you're basically going to be stealing from 2 players, and they're still going to decide what you're actually stealing. But basically that's how the Japanese Macaque is going to work with its Pilfering ability. Okay, so let's move on. The Bald Eagle has Determination. After finishing the current action, perform 1 additional action. So that's cool. So basically you get to take 2 actions on the same turn in a row before the next player goes. That's what Determination does. That's the ability Determination. And the Golden Eagle has the same exact ability. Okay, so here we go. This is our last attack cards. These are the last attack cards. The Indian Cobra and the common European Adder here. They have the same attack, okay? But if you don't want to do their attack because you're not playing with attack cards, they do have this other ability called Determination, which will allow you to take 2 actions on the same turn, basically. Performing 2 actions on the same turn. So that's also very powerful. So the attack is potentially very powerful, but so is Determination. So Hypnosis. So let's read what Hypnosis says. After the current action, you may perform 1 action from an action card in slot 1, slot 2, or 3 of a player with the most appeal, unless that is you. So let's say you wanted to, let's say Animals was in slot 3, okay? And it was upgraded. And this is your opponent's zoo. And you're using Hypnosis on them because they're highest up on the track. You're going to get to control, basically, you're going to get to take their action, Animals. It's still going to move this down, it's still going to move this down to the first slot because you're performing an action anyways. So you're going to move it down. So that means that maybe they were planning on playing Animals, and now, of course, it's further down on the tract than it was earlier. But anyways, you're going to use their action basically for yourself. This Hypnosis ability will allow me to use my opponent's animal action to place animals in my zoo. Okay, so I'm not taking control of their turn and forcing them to put animals in their zoo because I don't even know what cards they have in their hand. They might not even have animal cards in their hand for all I know. But the point is, I am going to basically take their action, their card over here to perform the action for myself. Powerful, right? And if, for instance, maybe I don't even have this upgraded. Maybe I don't even have animals upgraded for my zoo, but my opponent does, and they're highest up on the appeal tract. Well, that means I still get to use their upgraded card even if I don't have it upgraded either. So that's powerful. That could be potentially powerful regardless of what action you're functionally using. Whether it's these or these, it doesn't matter. It's going to be possibly very powerful. But you get the point that you're basically taking over one of their turns not really taking over one of their turns. You're taking over one of their cards for one turn for you only for that possibility. And you're using their card to basically beef up your zoo, in a sense. And so that's what Hypnosis is going to do. And these are the only ones that have that ability. So only 2 cards. So the chances of you getting to use this in a game, because chances of it showing up is still very slim. But man, that's powerful. Either whether you do Hypnosis or Determination, it's going to be a powerful turn for sure. But that's basically how Hypnosis is going to work. So anyways, let's move on. So the next one is the Hunter ability. And the Stout here has the Hunter 1. So you reveal the topmost card of the deck. If it's an animal card, you add it to your hand. Otherwise, you discard it. So if it's an animal, you get it. If it isn't, it gets discarded. And the Yellow-Throated Marten has the exact same ability as the Stout. And this animal has the exact same ability as the last one, except you get to look at the top 2 cards of the deck. And if one of them is an animal, you get to add it to your hand. And even if they were both animals, you still have to discard 1 card. The Jaguar has the exact same ability as the last one, except you're revealing, the 4 cards, topmost cards of the deck. You're revealing 4 of them. And you still only choose 1 of those cards that is an animal card, and you get to add it to your hand and discard the other cards. The Leopard has the exact same ability as the Jaguar. Okay, now we have Pack, another animal ability. With Pack, you're going to get 1 appeal for each predator icon in your zoo. So potentially, this is going to give you 5 appeal when you play it, because this is also included into the equation, because it is always included on itself. So you're always going to get 1 appeal for this icon since it's here. So you could get 5, possibly more. It just depends on how many predator icons you have. You could potentially get more than 4, or should I say more than 5. So, but basically that's how Pack is going to work for the wolf. And the Australian dingo has the same ability. So does the sea lion. And so does the lion. Has the same ability as the other animals, Pack. Okay, and then we have Iconic Animal Asia. So with this one, you're going to gain 1 appeal for each Asia icon in all of your zoos. So in all zoos. So in your zoo and your opponent's zoos. You count up all of the Asia icons that are in all of the zoos. And the maximum you can have is 8. So the most appeal you'll ever get from the Komodo dragon is 10 appeal. But still, that could be potentially powerful if you're playing with, obviously, more than 2 players. Potentially, that could be very useful. And then, obviously, this animal has the exact same ability as the last one, but instead of Asia, it's Africa icons. This one is the exact same one, except instead of Africa icons, it's Australia icons. This one has the exact same ability as the last one, but instead of Australia icons, it's America's icons. And this one has the exact same ability as the last one, but instead of America's icons, it's Europe icons. And that's, all of the cards for this video. There's still a lot more to go over. So in the next video, we will cover the rest of the animal cards still to talk about. Still quite a few good ones in the mix. See you guys in the next video.